Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Viewers, today we have a very special guest for you. He is Yunus Faris. He is a very competent and a very busy person. Luckily, he has taken out some his precious time. So, sir, thank you very much.
It's always a pleasure, sir, to sit with you, and we have had a very long relationship. At Iqra University, we have been colleagues for 10 years. So how can I refuse your request is an order for us, sir.
Thank you very much. So, Yunus Faris sir, since you have a very long period of teaching English language, so I want my viewers to learn from you in the perspective of IELTS, especially because we have witnessed that most of the youngsters want to study abroad. So this is a very good sign to learn for the betterment. So in that scenario, many students are having trouble in getting good grades, good score. Specifically, they are short of one score. For example, they usually get the 5.5, 6, but they are seeking for 7 or sometimes 8.
Yes.
So they are discouraged with the demand of the countries and they are in troublesome. So I want you to tell my viewers that how can they improve their IELTS band. IELTS, why IELTS? Because most of the Commonwealth countries require IELTS as a English language system. So I want you to focus on the IELTS.
Very true, Dr. Sab. IELTS is mandatory if you are applying for admission in an international university in the Western world, especially. Previously, we had TOEFL for USA and IELTS in Australia, New Zealand, and UK. But now IELTS has increasingly become acceptable in USA as well. So mostly in Pakistan now students go for the IELTS academic exam. And if they are applying for immigration, then IELTS General is the requirement. It's another version, a little bit easier version of IELTS for those people who are applying for immigration. So IELTS becomes challenging for our students, mostly those who are coming from the majority of our students come from matric and intermediate background. And when they're coming from matric and intermediate background, they have studied English as a subject, not as a skill. So they have prepared for English exams in their school classes as well as later on in the matric and intermediate exam as well. And what actually they've done is that they have mostly, when it comes to reading and writing, two important skills, because listening and speaking are not part of our matric and intermediate exams. So because unfortunately we have had a negative washback effect of examination on our teaching, because in matric and intermediate classes, unfortunately, teachers prepare students from the exam point of view. So they focus on those chapters in the class which are coming in the exam, and those chapters are left out which are not covered in the examination. So because of this negative washback effect of examination, English is also taken as a subject. So students, when they are appearing for matric and intermediate exam, they memorize answers to research questions, reading questions. They memorize central ideas of different points. They memorize even essays. If you remember from our, even like when I did my metric almost 25 years ago, so we had My Aim in Life and a visit to the seaside and health is wealth and an interesting cricket match. So 25 years down the line, almost a similar kind of topics are repeated. So what happens is that students are able to guess, teachers are able to guess which topics are coming in the exam, and then students memorize those topics and they rewrite in the exam. So what happens, unfortunately, is that by the time students get into university after completing their schooling and college education, they've not developed writing skills, they've not practiced writing essays on their own, they don't know how to structure a paragraph properly, how to write essays properly. And same goes with reading as well. I mean, unseen comprehension, although it is part of matric and intermediate exam papers, but that's a very small, one small paragraph of 8-10 lines. And when you go for the IELTS exam, you realize that you have 3 long passages to cover in 1 hour and you have to answer 40 questions. So IELTS becomes a challenge for our students coming from the matric and intermediate background, especially because the kind of reading and writing they've done during their school and college years is not skill based. It's mostly memory based, rote learning based, and when they come to when they go for the IELTS test, they are in for a shock, and they realize that when they start preparing for it, when they start practicing for the IELTS exam, they realize that it's too difficult. Reading is too difficult. Vocabulary is most of the words are unfamiliar for them, and reading passages are too long for them, and then reading questions that they encounter are also those which they've not done before. For example, they've done true false, but they've not done true false and not given, which is the IELTS exam pattern. So they get confused between not given and false, and they often get false and not given questions wrong. So the challenge, especially for students, is to prepare for reading and writing, but listening and speaking, these 2 skills become even more challenging. Never before in their life they have appeared for a listening test. They've not done listening in school. They've never appeared for a listening test in their matric or intermediate exam. Even in university classes, listening is at times practiced in the classroom, but it's not made part of the in majority of the universities in Pakistan. You will not find the exam of English courses. You will not see that exams include listening test as well, because of obvious reasons, because of the administrative reasons. It will create a challenge to conduct listening in the examination hall. So, and then same is the case with speaking as well. Speaking is never tested, it's never assessed. So our students face a lot of problems in IELTS because you see their learning of English language has been mostly as a subject and not as a skill. And they've not appeared for their previous exams in the way that their skills should be tested. In the previous exams of matric, intermediate, even in school grades, rote learning or memory skills have been tested. So that is the reason when they come to when they decide that they have to study abroad and they have to apply for scholarships and they need a good IELTS score, at least 7, so it becomes a big challenge for them, because after preparation for a month or 2 or 3, what the score they usually get is 5.5 maximum 5.5 maximum 6. 7 is difficult unless they improve their language skills, unless they do sufficient practice for the IELTS exam. It will be very difficult to get 7. So the important thing, like my advice to them will be that, you know, before they attempt IELTS exam, IELTS is a test of their language skill. So before they start preparing for IELTS, or even when they start preparing for IELTS, they should start working on their basic language skills. Unless they improve their reading, writing, listening, speaking, grammar and vocabulary skills, it will not be possible. Only by just practicing IELTS tests, they will not be able to score the required band, which is mostly around 7.
So what do you suggest how they should go for it, for the basic skills you talked about?
Well, you see, as you know, that the IELTS test has 4 sections. So these 4 sections are basically focused on 4 skills. When it comes to listening skills, the first section that they have to attempt in the IELTS test is a listening section, and in the listening section they will be required to take 4 they will have to listen to 4 different recordings, and every recording will have 10 questions. So these 4 recordings will actually include 4 different types of conversations. For example, the first one will be the easiest, and in this first one there will be 2 speakers, and one of them will be seeking some information which the other one will have. For example, one could be a person looking for a job, and he is making a phone call to a company where a company that has advertised a job. So this person is seeking information about the job advertisement. So first listening task is the easiest, and moving from the first one, the second one is generally one person is speaking. It's a monologue. So one person is speaking, giving information. It could be a lecture, a teacher giving a lecture. It could be a TV presenter or a radio presenter giving some news report of 2 to 3 minutes. So it's a long talk. And then there will be the third section where there will be a discussion between 3 to 4 people. and the fourth section again is a long talk, maybe a lecture or a monologue by a speaker. So IELTS test, listening test, will have difficulty level increasing from section 1, which is the easiest, to section 4, which is the most challenging one. Now, what students do in order to prepare for listening is that first they need to start listening on daily basis, making themselves familiar with listening. You know, the unfortunate thing is that we take listening for granted, and we do very limited listening in our daily life as far as English. I'm talking from the students' point of view, that they do very little listening in terms of watching those, for example, presentations or YouTube interviews in order to practice listening. So it is very important that you start practicing listening every day for half an hour or 1 hour. If you want to prepare for IELTS, you should do half an hour or 1 hour listening every day, in which you may watch presentations in which people are giving a long talk, to prepare for IELTS section 2 and 4 of listening, because 2 and 4 will have long talk, somebody speaking for 2 to 3 minutes on one topic. So watch TED presentations. TED presentations are very helpful in preparing you for the section 2 and 4 of the IELTS listening test, because in TED.com presentations you will find the speakers are educated and they have a very clear accent, and they're using formal language, so which is appropriate for the IELTS test preparation. And then you should also watch some interviews on YouTube to get an idea about section 1 and 3. So section 1 and 3, for section 3 you may watch panel talk, where there are 3-4 speakers and having a discussion on any topic. So I would say that for listening skills, it's important that we must listen 30 minutes to 1 hour every day to these different kind of listening tests, texts. For example, one person is speaking a presentation, or 2 people speaking in an interview, or 3-4 people having a discussion. Then it's also very important that you see IELTS test will have native speakers speaking, and these speakers will be from different countries. Like there will be American, there will be British, there will be Australian speakers, but at the same time there will be Chinese speakers as well, or Indian speakers as well, but mostly you will find native English speakers. So we need to become familiar with their speaking rate as well as their pronunciation. So if we are not used to listening to their accent, it will become an additional challenge for us when we go for the IELTS listening test. So we have to become familiar with their listening, with their speaking style, with their accent, and with their pronunciation as well. And then for improving listening skills, I would say that there are certain strategies, there are certain tips that we need to learn when we are preparing for the IELTS test. So when you are preparing for the IELTS test, you will see that we have a very famous and most commonly used series of IELTS Cambridge, book 1 to book 18, I think is the latest one which just came out. So these books actually have previous past tests, actual tests. These are the tests which have been used before. So when you're practicing IELTS test, you will get an idea that what kind of questions are given in the IELTS listening test. So you will have listening questions like fill in the blanks, which are called gap fills. You will have matching the information. You will have MCQs, like multiple choice questions. So what you need to do is you need to practice, and you need to see that how each of these questions will be attempted. For example, it's very important that you follow the instructions which are given in the listening test. Very carefully you have to read. For example, the instruction says that write your answer in 1 word. It means that 2 words are not allowed. You have to write only 1 word. If it says that write your answer in no more than 2 words, it means you have 2 options. You can write 1 word answer or 2 words answer. If it says write your answer in no more than 3 words, now you have a choice of 1, 2 or 3, but you cannot write 4. So it's very important to become familiar with the IELTS test question types, with the IELTS test format as well, and reading the instructions is also very important. At the same time, in listening, what you need to do, what you should always do during the test, a very important tip is that you have an introduction given by the on the audio. When the audio is played, the introduction to the text is given first by the examiner. So it says something like this: you will hear a conversation between a receptionist at the hotel and a customer about booking a room in the hotel. First, you will listen and answer question number 1 to 4. So this introduction, this introductory, comment by the examiner in the beginning is very important, because it will give you an idea what to expect. What is this conversation going to be about? So during the test, it's very important that you listen to this introduction to the text, and you should also then read the questions in advance. When it will give you time, the first 30 seconds, read the questions in advance. So always read the questions in advance, so that when you start listening, you already know what is it that you need to listen and you need to note down in order to answer the question. And at the same time, it's very important that you, when you are listening, at times it will happen that you miss out on one answer. So if you miss out on one answer, make sure that you don't miss out on the other answers as well. If you are not able to find an answer after a while, then skip that and move to the other question. If you remain focused on one, even after 30 seconds, 40 seconds, because all answers are in sequence. So answer to question number 1 will be first, then second, then third. So if you miss out on an answer, move on, so that you don't miss out on the other answers as well. So these are some of the tricks that I've just mentioned. There are many other tips and tricks which are useful for doing listening, but something which I always tell my students is that practice is very important. Before you go for your IELTS test, you should at least solve 20 IELTS tests, 20 listening, 20 reading, 20 speaking, and 20 writing. Then only, and when you're practicing, you'll also learn that what score you are getting for, because for listening and reading both, you have the answers given at the end of the book. So you can always self-check. You will know what your score is. And something very important I tell my students is that when you're practicing, what you do generally is that you attempt a test, you check your answers, and you look at the correct score. You only look at the correct score. Okay, I got out of 40, I've got 30 answers correct, or I've got 25 answers correct. And you focus on what we have got correct, in our practice test. Very important, extremely important is that we look at what we have got wrong. Our learning and improvement will start from what we have got wrong in the practice test. So we have to, more importantly, look at our mistakes. If you have got 30 correct, 10 wrong answers in a listening or a reading test, look at those 10 mistakes. Why you have got them wrong? What is the reason? Why you missed it? Check your answer and check the correct answer, and then ask yourself, why did I get this wrong? Okay? Because in the IELTS test, for example, we have distractions. So we need to be aware of those distractions. Students get answers wrong because of those distractions as well. For example, one distraction is rephrasing, which is purposely done by the speaker on the listening audio. For example, the question is, when will the meeting be held? This is the question. And on the audio, you will hear like this: so the meeting will be held on next Monday. Oh, wait, it will be held on Tuesday. So this rephrasing is purposely done to distract and to trap the test taker. So if you are listening if you are only paying attention to the first word, which was Monday, and you write down Monday, it will be wrong. So what you have got wrong could be because of this rephrasing, this retracing, which the speaker has done. So you have to be careful with that. Then whenever they are, sometimes the mistake could be because of generalization. So generalization is like, for example, the question is, what did John buy at the bookshop? And the answer says, he bought a pen, a pencil, an eraser, stationery items, in fact. So now the correct answer will not be a pen, a pencil, an eraser. The answer will be stationery items. So you have to write the stationery items, not the first second or third word which the speaker said. So there are such distractions as well, and you come to know about it when you are preparing for the IELTS test. But then, as I said earlier, that before you start learning these tips and tricks, it's important that what are your basic foundation language skills. These tips and tricks cannot be a replacement for your foundation. If your foundations are not good, then getting in band 7 in IELTS only through learning these tips and tricks may not be possible. Not be possible.
So thank you very much for your detailed answer. Let us know about the productive skills when we talk about the writing specifically. So most of the youngsters, they try to use the chat GPT and other kind of AI tools. So do you think that can help the students in making their writing better?
A very valid question and a growing concern among the writing teachers, Dr. Saab, that you have just raised. Chat GPT and other AI tools. You see, Chat GPT and other AI tools can be used constructively by the students, but they can also be used in a very negative way, a diabolical way, I must say. So the constructive use is, if you are using Chat GPT as a writing instructor or as a writing teacher, that could be a constructive use. For example, in writing classes, in English classes, teachers give students writing tasks, and the students are supposed to write and then submit their writing to the teacher. And generally, as you know, that in our country we have very large classrooms. Even in English courses, there are 60 students, 50 students. In government sector, 80 students, 100 students. In private sector, at least 50 to 60. So what happens is that during a semester of 15 sessions, we have 15 sessions during a semester. So in 15 sessions, even if students write 15 essays or 15 write-ups, the teacher will be able to provide feedback to them maybe 4 times, 5 times, each of these to each of the students. It will not be possible for the teacher to give feedback to all 15 write-ups during the whole semester. So you see, if you have written something, if you have typed something and you want feedback, what is grammatically incorrect in it, what is expression, what are the mistakes in the expression, lexical mistakes, vocabulary related mistakes, what are some of the issues with the tone, how the introduction of the essay or the write-up is not so effective, or how can it be made more effective, how the conclusion can be improved, is my thesis statement effective, are my topic sentences appropriate. If you want to get feedback from ChatGPT on these issues, or if you want to get feedback on your grammar mistakes from Grammarly, that could be a constructive use of ChatGPT or Grammarly or other AI tools. You have written something on your own, you have tried your best first, and you want to see how well you have written, and you want feedback on your writing. So you can take that feedback from ChatGPT, you can take that feedback from Grammarly, for example. Even if I write something and I show it when I have Grammarly installed in my email service, so at times when I'm writing, there are at times careless errors which Grammarly highlights. So I then, if I missed out a word or something, I correct it. That somebody who's a writer already, or somebody who's a professional writer, his life is made easy, or his or her life is made easy by ChatGPT or Grammarly tools. But if you become dependent on them, for example, see, when Grammarly highlights something in what I have written, I always have a look at it and say, why is it showing me a red line under it? Is it a careless error, or is it telling me something that I don't know? So if it is telling me something that I don't know, I explore it. Okay, why is it saying that this expression needs to be replaced? To me, it's okay. So you see, Grammarly and ChatGPT and other AI tools can be used constructively for learning, for taking feedback, okay, for practicing writing. As students, you can tell Grammarly that I want to practice writing, I want to practice essay writing, give me a good topic, right? I want to write on this topic, I have some points in my mind, I've brainstormed these 3 points, give me some 3-4 additional points. And once you have written, then you can take feedback from Grammarly in terms of correctness. Grammarly will not tell you a lot about the structure. Maybe I've not used the paid version, so I don't know how detailed feedback it can provide. But ChatGPT on the other hand can provide you very detailed feedback on the structure, on the introduction, on conclusion, even on ideas, coherence and cohesion and tone as well. So when it comes to even like for example you want preparing for IELTS and you've written IELTS essays, you can show it to Grammarly, say that I want you to give me feedback according to the IELTS writing standard writing rubric and give me what band you think I will get. And then you can also ask how I can improve it by 1 or 2 bands more, the same write-up. What you think can be improved. So Grammarly or other AI tools can be used constructively in this way. But as far as writing skills are concerned, I would like to share this with you, Dr. Saab, that the most difficult skill to score in the IELTS exam is writing. So getting 7 or 7.5 becomes very difficult because I mean comparatively speaking or listening, you know, these two skills are easier to score. Reading and writing become more difficult. Writing skills especially because in writing you will have an essay writing task and then you'll also have a report on given graph or chart or table. So you see our students have not done this kind of writing especially in their school and college you know, English classes. So writing becomes challenging for a number of reasons. I mean, I would say that time is your biggest enemy when it comes to the IELTS test. If you have, like for example, if for the same writing test, if you had 2 hours or 1.5 hours, maybe your band would already be improved by 1. Okay, but the problem is that 40 minutes you have for writing the essay and 20 minutes you have for writing the report on the graph. So you not only you need to have good skills in writing or reading, you also need to be fast. You need to be a fast writer and fast reader as well. Your speed also matters a lot. So writing skills, I would say that it would be very important that you first, I mean, again, for every skill I would say practice is very important. Unfortunately, when you look at our life as students, I mean, I always ask my students, think about last 1 year, 365 days. On how many days did you write anything? How many essays did you write in the last 365 days of 1 year? How many letters did you write? How many emails did you write? So they say, sir, we write only on Facebook or we write only on WhatsApp. So those are very brief, 1, 2, 3 sentences. You're not even writing a paragraph. So they are not familiar with the paragraph structure, a topic sentence, supporting statement, concluding sentence. They're not familiar with the structure of an essay, introduction with a thesis statement, 3 body paragraphs with 3 topic sentences, a conclusion. They're not familiar with different writing techniques to start an essay in an interesting way, starting with a hook. The hook could comprise of a quotation or a question or a short story or some interesting facts or figures. Could start with a joke maybe. It could start with a funnel, starting generally and then narrowing down towards a topic. So there are different techniques for starting an essay effectively, and in the same way for conclusion there are different techniques. For example, summarizing with a final thought, or summarizing with a quotation, or ending with some suggestions or recommendations, ending with a rhetorical question. So the thing is that they need to work on their writing skills, they need to practice writing skills if they want to appear for the IELTS exam, and then you see writing on regular basis. If you want to be good at any skill, be it swimming, be it, you know, playing any sport, be it a language skill, if you do it 10 times, 15 times, 20 times in 1 year, there is no possibility that you can become even good at it. I mean, getting better or getting excellent is altogether out of question. But you see, like even for getting to an acceptable level of expertise, you will need to have regular practice. So for writing, I would say that, you know, doing writing on regular basis is very important. Learning these basic rules of writing, basic structures of writing, how to write a proper paragraph, how to write a proper essay, and within the essay then writing an argumentative essay is different from writing a descriptive essay or writing a narrative essay. So in IELTS exam, mostly you will have argumentative essay. You will be given a situation, you will be given a statement, and you will be required to express your opinion on it, whether you agree with it or whether you disagree with it. So you take a stance and then you argue with valid facts and examples to justify your stance. So for learning, for doing well on the IELTS writing part, you will have to learn to write argumentative essays effectively. Okay. And at the same time, then we also, in writing, it's very important that grammatical accuracy, okay, command over tenses, proper sentence structure, uh, no mistakes of punctuation or spelling. Accuracy is a very important aspect of it. And then command or vocabulary is also very important. You're using formal vocabulary, you're not using informal words. Okay, essay is a formal piece of writing. So you're not using words like guys, or you're avoiding contractions like don't, lots of, awesome. So you have to learn the difference between formal and informal vocabulary, and you need to be aware that essay writing needs to have formal vocabulary. In the same way, the report on a graph or a chart also requires you to have formal vocabulary. So learning formal vocabulary and understanding the difference between formal and informal diction is very important for doing well on the writing skills. And then, as I said, writing speed matters a lot. I took my IELTS on computer. So computer-based IELTS test you should only take if you have good typing speed. If you don't have good typing speed, then go for the paper-based writing test. And in paper-based writing test, still you need to write quickly. So managing time is very important. Managing your time is very important as well.
Okay, thank you very much for answering it. Yunus Sahab, please let the students know that how they can improve their speaking, specifically the confidence level, the diction, the appropriate vocabulary. So how well they can develop themselves with a few of the resources.
Well, for speaking skills, dots are very important these days. We see and we hear from our students that when they, not only in their studies and not only for the IELTS exam, but for their professional life, for making the career, it's very important that they have good speaking skills. They have to, the door to their professional career starts with the interview. So the interview that they have to appear for, in that interview, it will be expected of them that they have confidence in their communication skills and they are able to speak proficient English, and they are able to speak fluently without pauses, without hesitation, and they are able to express themselves clearly and confidently. So today, whether we agree with it or not, but the language of the corporate world is English in our country. So it's very important that they develop excellent communication skills in English. And for doing that, I think the first thing that they need to understand is that speaking English is a skill, and it's a skill in our country. Nobody is born with this skill. It's not our first language. It's not the language of any community in Pakistan. Okay, be it from whether we are from Karachi or from any province, we have our first language. We have our first languages like Urdu, Sindhi, Punjabi, Balochi, Pashto, and we have to be proud of our languages. Okay, so English is a need. It's a need for our higher education because of the globalization, because of the world politics. We have English as the language of higher education. It's a language of science. It's a language of technology. It's a language of international business. It's a language of corporate world. So it is a need, and for improving our English language skills, we need to understand that whenever we start learning any skill, the beginning is troublesome, the beginning is challenging, and we are in the process of, we have to start the learning process. And when we start, there will always be mistakes, there will always be hiccups, there will always be hesitation, there will always be some people who may be making fun of us. So for improving your speaking skills, the first thing is that we have to start speaking. We have to find people. For example, if I give you my example, I studied in an Urdu medium school. So till grade 8th, we had all subjects taught in Urdu, and even English was taught in Urdu. So you see, like I had excellent teachers. I mean, they were very sincere, and they were always accommodating, cooperative, supportive. But in an Urdu medium school, as you can imagine, that you see, when the medium of instruction is Urdu, so English skills are not focused a lot. Even in the English class, we used to do it in Urdu. So I remember I developed interest in developing my language skills when I was in grade 8th actually. So I was fortunate enough, I had excellent English teachers available within my locality. So I took additional classes with them, and I started, English language classes, attending English language classes. So I remember my, initial experiences of learning English language, that I used to find people. Like in my family, there was no one who could speak English, who I could speak to and practice my language skills. I did not have any teachers in my school. So I remember in those days, I used to ask people, like, some of my friends, they had a cousin visiting from US or UK. So I would request them that, I would like to talk to them, I would like to listen to English and practice English language, speak English language with them. And I would hear about some teachers that, they are teaching in a coaching center or a language center in a different part of the locality. So I would travel all the way just to go and have a 20 minutes, 30 minutes talk. So I remember those days, and I used to, think at that time that it's a blessing that you find somebody who would be supportive, who might have better language skills than you, and who you could practice with. So in my, like if I compare today's learning environment with my, my time in my school, like 25 years ago, 30 years ago, I believe still people have a lot of opportunities to practice. So, like today you will find many platforms on social media as well to practice your speaking skills, even with, people from different parts of the world, and even, like native speakers as well. So today, because of technology, we have better opportunities to practice. So the first thing I would suggest to all students who want to practice and improve their speaking skills, that they should start with this attitude, with this approach, that they are learning, they are learners, and they have to start practicing speaking. Whether they speak wrong, whether they make mistakes, whether they hesitate a lot, it doesn't matter. When you start, everyone is like this. I used to hesitate a lot when I started speaking English. Because I was studying I used to study in classes which were taught through grammar translation method. So we remember those. I mean, we used to learn tenses that way. Raha hai, rahi hai, rahe hai, present continuous tense. Khata hai, ti hai, te hai, present indefinite tense. So we had this habit in the beginning to think in Urdu first and translate into English and then speak. Right? So we would first think in Urdu, then we would translate in our head, and then we would speak, and it would create further hesitation. So you see, like, so it's always tough in the beginning, but you have to start. You have to start from somewhere. So my suggestion would be, find one or two students, friends, neighbors who are interested in improving English language skills, and start practicing with them. In the beginning, it will be difficult. In the beginning, you will hesitate, you will make mistakes, but it's perfectly fine. Even if you find somebody who is making fun of you, or who is ridiculing you for speaking incorrect English, tell them you're a learner. Everybody makes mistakes. In the beginning, everybody makes mistakes. Nobody speaks the language perfectly. If you look at children learning first language, they make a lot of mistakes. They called pani mani, and they called mama something else, and daddy dada, but we are happy, we encourage them. We encourage them, and we are happy that they are making progress. So remember that in language research, we say mistakes are a sign of progress. So if you are making mistakes, it means you are making progress. It means you are trying. It means tomorrow, if not tomorrow, day after tomorrow, if not day after tomorrow, next week, you will overcome those mistakes, and you will start speaking correctly. Second thing I would say, that you should, listening and speaking are connected.
Yes.
So when you want to improve speaking skills, it's very important that you listen to people who have a command over language, who are good speakers. So find people in your own area of interest, in your own field, maybe field of studies, or generally you're interested in politics, you're interested in sports. So find good speakers from that particular area of expertise, find their videos. Today we have technology. I remember we had no internet when in the 90s when I was going to school, and later on till even 2007-8, you would also remember that internet connectivity was extremely poor.
Yes.
We used to connect our PTCL line, and we used to have that 56 kb internet. So there was no question of watching videos
Yes.
on that slow internet.
Yes.
And there was no question of downloading books and audios for practice. Today, alhamdulillah, technology has developed a lot. Internet has provided us a wealth of resources for learning English language. So we should take benefit of it, and what we must do is we find good speakers. TED.com is a wonderful resource. YouTube is a wonderful resource. And you'll find many good English language teachers giving free of cost classes on the internet. And and a very important area that I would like our students to work is pronunciation. So accent is something else, right? TALK, talk. If you say talk like native speakers, or you don't say talk, no problem. But at least say talk. So talk is the pronunciation which is required in the IELTS speaking test to be correct. If you say TALK, talk, or talk, then that pronunciation will be negatively, assessed in the IELTS speaking test. Our pronunciation needs to be clear. Accent is not important. It's not important if you say, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you is fine, and it's perfectly acceptable. So we need to, like for example, career and career. So career and carrier both are two different words, but that the pronunciation of these two words is confused. People, often I would hear students, sir, I want to make my career in this field. So that career is something else, and career is the right word which needs to be used here. So pronunciation is very important, and these days you will find many good teachers teaching pronunciation on YouTube. So it will be very useful and helpful if you pay attention and how they are telling you the right pronunciation. Then you will find American and British English differences as well. So you will find teachers who will tell you that we are teaching American pronunciation or British pronunciation, and they even do videos on the differences between these two, the key differences between these two. So for the speaking skills, I would say that taking help from technology is very important. And then on social media platforms, students will find many groups where they can connect with people from different parts of Pakistan as well, from different parts of the world, and they can practice their speaking skills there as well. So you see, you have to take some risk, right? Don't be scared of making mistakes. Don't feel that you look stupid if you make mistakes. If you start speaking and you speak wrong English, people will say that don't try to be over smart. So people would say, right, as they say कि लोग क्या कहेंगे, लोगों का काम है कहना, तो लोग तो कहेंगे, लेकिन what we must do is we must always take constructive feedback from people who are giving us, and negative feedback, if it is for improvement, we must also, if somebody is sincerely giving you feedback, there is constructive negative criticism, you should accept it, and you should be thankful to those people. But then there is negative criticism for the sake of negative criticism. That must not be, you must not pay too much heed to it, avoid it.
Thank you very much, sir, for such a superb, I must say superb discussion.
So kind of
I'm really glad that you have covered the topic in a very detailed manner. I hope students would definitely go for it. And the last thing, with your permission, I would like to say that language is basically a medium of conversation and communication. And in that particular context, we should not follow the mentality which we have got from the English people at the time when we were slaves of them. So with that kind of complex and superiority or the inferiority, when we listen to the English language and when we speak the English language, I think that will really help you. What I think, when you will be learn English language with a very positive mindset, that you are learning only language, and that will help you in your career, that will help you in opening new opportunities, doors of life. So that will really help you, instead of just improving your status or changing your social class. So that will not really make you learn the language. That will create some other things, but that will not make you learn the language. This is a very important point I would like to highlight. So thank you again.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure, Dr. Saab, and I'm grateful that you gave me this opportunity to share my limited knowledge and understanding with your viewers.
Thank you.
So kind of you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.